Okay, we have a new chapter of Boku no Hero Academia. This one, we've surpassed all of the limitations that Shigaraki Tomura had. All of the things that were holding him back, making him cling to his past, the kind of amnesiac trauma where he knew he had committed some great sin that he couldn't bear to even bring to mind. All of that time spent working under All for One, becoming stronger, becoming more and more twisted and hateful. He's reached some sort of enlightenment here, and I'm not quite sure how this will reflect in his greater desires, his schemes, his plans to take over the world and essentially bring all to ruin. But in the moment, it has indeed invigorated him as he smashes all of the hands that used to cling to him. All unnecessary. These sorts of things too, all unnecessary. He thinks back to his father, the one he very deliberately murdered. He thinks back to, this was a time that one of his hands was knocked loose, the one on his face, the one most important to him, his father's hand. He smashes it away. The stress is at 100%, this of course being Redestro's power, that can convert stress into muscle mass and fighting energy. He's coming down on Tomura like a hawk, or so it should be. Oh, I see. It's a spread. He smashes around Tomura with this dark stress energy, but we can see Tomura able to slash through even this darkness itself, crumbling away in the face of his quirk. Really cool artwork here. I love the way that Redestro's power is depicted. Just this inky black blur. I love that really kinetic feel. So much energy coming from each attack. It doesn't just signify like great strength, great momentum, that kind of impact, but it feels like even more heavy, you know? It actually kind of carries the flavorful weight of it being stress. This kind of anguish within him. Ooh, and another spread, the aftermath of their attack. Huge waves of destruction echoing through the city. But you can see here, yeah, it's crumbling apart. And Gigantomachia, of course, still rampaging. You can see all sorts of quirk users enlisted in the Liberation Army. I mean, meta ability users. I'm so sorry. Trying to take some shots at him, but it's just not working. He's just not slowing down even a little bit. And then Iceman, in the middle of his fight with Dabi, pieces out, I guess, recognizing that the boss is in trouble. Just gotta destroy it all before you connect. It's no big deal. And that's what we saw him doing. He was knocking away the attacks, shattering them down into dust before they had even been able to connect with him. And here we see, it almost looks like a transformation. His clothes that are usually kind of very tight, they're baggy, but they're like closely silhouetted with him, are now billowing behind him. His hands and feet both totally exposed when normally he's kind of wrapped himself up in so many different layers. And his hair just kind of freely flowing. And what is that smile? That smile is unlike any of the other really creepy grins that he's given before. It's just like a nice, genuine, cheerful smile. He's looking like a shonen protagonist, and he's talking like a shonen protagonist. That sort of cockiness, that sort of, you thought you had checkmate in 3, but I all along had checkmate in 1. Like that real, the fight is over now sort of feeling. Redestro is shocked. You're big, but that's all you are. I get it. I want to obliterate whatever bugs you. It's fun. So stepping stone is meant to liberate the people. See Destro's will fulfilled. Yeah. So I feel like Redestro is embarrassed by the fact that he's even fighting at all. This was never even part of the plan. It's not like he wants to be able to have the Liberation Army succeed or fail just on the strength of whether or not his quirk is almighty, like whether or not he can personally defeat all of those people. But instead, now he's being pushed to the limit. He summons some sort of contraption here, I guess made by our technology expert. Is it fear? No, not fear. I convert fear into power, then why? Tight spot. Ricky, we have kept ourselves hidden for generations, but now you will be the one to see Destro's will fulfilled. So this is now the flashback of the other villain. Both villains getting revelatory flashbacks in the midst of this one battle. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I'm not sure how in-depth this will be. Rectify his greatest regrets. So this, obviously already, Rikia here, Redestro, was quite the kid, wearing a suit and just sort of grimly accepting the destiny that is just now being explained and imposed onto him. Why am I feeling less stressed out? Huh. It's the burden amplifying steel pressure mechanism. Oh my god, 150%. So it's not, it's called claustro, like claustrophobia. This suit doesn't just enhance his battle power, but it's like effectively and purposefully uncomfortable to wear. It's meant to actually hurt him and apply pressure to his entire body as he fights in order to amplify his meta ability. That's just insane. You know, if you have this sort of power and you go to these sort of lengths to improve it, I feel like you would end up totally ideologically opposite and say, you know what, quirks suck. Let's, as much as possible, try to move to a post-quirk era. Let's, as much as possible, just try to, you know, I don't want this. But he embraces it. He embraces it and is powered by it. 150% stress. That's nice. Here we have a bunch of Twices carrying out, we have the original body of Twice, along with both Togas. Toga having a blood transfusion from herself. It's too much for us. We gotta get the league back together. He's doomed if we take him on in this state. Icy Freak, I almost banned him to mention that. This thing, right? Warp us, or else Machia will tear us from limb to limb. Alright, so these guys have just had it. They are abandoning this whole Gigantomachia will wear himself out against the Liberation Army, and then we'll finish them both off. They see now, they forgot, from after this brief diversion fighting other people, they forgot just how crazy Gigantomachia is, and how unlikely they are, even under these circumstances, to finish it up. Kill my little Johnny, are you? Dreadful case of tonsillitis with every warping. Oh, okay. Little Johnny is, I guess, a Nobu that has a warping quirk installed into it. But whatever. Believe you never had a problem with warping before. Try not to get too close with those who might give away my location to third parties. Talk to me once you get the Liberation Army to stop tracking you. He does so well with you. Isn't he meant to be all for one successor? Exactly why he needs to be pushed into a corner. Interesting, interesting. So we've kind of seen this role from the Doctor before, that he's totally willing to just let Shigaraki die or come close to it in order to bring out his true potential. And you got to think that this has been their relationship the entire way through. Shigaraki regularly being just thrown to the wolves, crawling back, bleeding and bruised, into the quote-unquote embrace of all for one in the Doctor. And this is part of the reason he's become so strong. So, yeah. Is this a different situation? Is there just too much now for him to deal with? Iceman flying in, watching Gigantomachia battle the Scrubs. What's up against the League of Villains meta abilities, and this is especially of Dabby's long-range flames. It's central to the Liberation Army's success. Sorry, Dresser. I'm sorry for worrying you. Must protect Redestro. Okay, lots of stuff happening here. But does any of it really matter? In the end, we have Gigantomachia bursting through once more. Ice meaning nothing to him. Shouting out for Tomura's head. Not suppression, but liberation. People would seek to use their meta abilities freely. Past the pain, beyond this awakening. It's as if this man... 150%, huh? Are you going all plus ultra on me? Is that it? Oh my god! That's actually a beautiful line. Wow. Wow! So Shigaraki in this time Still, not even still. Like, this is the kind of humor that we don't really see from him normally. Just mocking plus ultra. You can all plus ultra on me. 150%. What is this? He really is transcending. He's been utterly liberated. Yes, what I'm feeling in my chest is... Oh, we don't get to see, but I think it's relief. When you think about it, Shigaraki Tomura is the perfect case study for what the Meta Liberation Army wants to achieve. He was blessed with this extremely powerful meta ability, but one that could bring all sorts of death and destruction and ruin if unused, or if used improperly, I mean. And because it had such an aesthetic to it, because it had such devastating results when misused, he had been totally neglected by society, only able to find company in villains. And not just that, like, Redestro realizes now that this entire time he had still been apprehensive about using his quirk. He still wasn't bringing out the true nature of his crumbling away ability because of the trauma he had been inflicted upon so early in his youth. And so Redestro here, when he sees this transformation, when he sees Tomura smiling like this, freely just dusting everything around him, I think he sees, like, proof of success of this project. I mean, meanwhile, Gigantomachia right at their doorstep. He's still seeming to try to fight, using this, the pressure mechanism in this fighting robot to try to push his stress even further. But I think that's the answer. That's why he's feeling less stressed out. It's because in Tomura he sees hope. He sees someone who doesn't need the Liberation Army because they truly have been liberated. He sees a citizen of the new world he wants to create. And we're not really sure what we're looking at yet either. It's not like Tomura has taken a chance now, past this flashback, to sit us all down and run us through his ideology and how it's changed. I'm not going to go so far as to say that Tomura is going to become a good guy, but it kind of feels like the limit of his ideology of just sheer destruction might be reaching a limit, you know? It kind of feels like we had this arc of the League of Villains meeting failure. They were stuck in a rut. Spinner was becoming disillusioned. They were just fighting Gigantomachia day in and day out. They go to see the doctor, and Tomura tries to give a rousing speech. Well, he didn't really try to give a rousing speech, but he, in a shonen, I was about to say in a shonen series, but in a shonen protagonist-led adventure, that's when they would give the rousing speech. And instead, he just kind of talked about how he wanted to destroy everything, which did rouse some members of his group. But it kind of feels like we were seeing the limits of what it is to be focused entirely on this nihilistic destruction. So I don't know. I feel like the League of Villains is going to emerge from this not just stronger, but clearer of mind. We'll see. We'll see. Some pretty amazing shots of Shigaraki here. Just his grin. His grin is totally different. It's not that kind of wild, evil irony grin, but it looks like a genuine happiness. He's smirking. That's what it is. It's like a confident smirk. He's not trying to creep anybody out. It's just like, I got this. It's so shonen. It's a shonen protagonist smirk. All right, that's all for now.